From the News Channel 5 Network, this is OpenLine.
Well, good evening and welcome into Open Line. I'm Chuck Long, excited to be along with you for this upcoming hour. This is one of my favorite hours with one of my favorite people on the show tonight. We're talking with the experts tonight, the experts in the legal field, and that is Kevin Kennedy from the Kennedy Law Firm. The entire hour is devoted to your calls, your questions. What legal matters? What legal questions do you have? This is the way that you can call in 737-7587, the number on your screen, and get that advice that you've been wondering about. Because I know a lot of you, as we've done this show so many times, have said, you know, I've wondered about how to take on the insurance company, or how to take on the hospitals, or I got a traffic stop and I didn't know how to react. I didn't know what to do, didn't know where to turn. This is the hour that you can ask those questions, get those questions answered by the expert himself. And we are talking about Kevin Kennedy once again. Great to see you, Kevin.
Good to see you tonight, Chuck. We're back together. Always love it here in the Halloween time.
We are ready with orange.
Yeah, you got the orange on. I'm backing you up tonight. So, yeah, we've got some things to share with you. And, of course, if you've got those questions, we encourage you. Get on the line, call, because there's 10 or 20 other people who love to hear your question, so that it helps lots and lots of people. We say that quite often. But knowledge is power. You can stand on that. Teach your family. You know, it said you can never teach enough, you can never preach enough, and I do believe that. I'm a student of sharing the knowledge because it lets you sleep a little better. So as we go into this show, I always say take the proactive approach. If you know there's trouble, potentially, then you talk to the lawyer early, because sometimes we can divert it off. So I'd always share that for you, your neighbors, your family. For my friends, Chuck and I, we know the plan. We're going to move on it. We're not going to wait on it.
Well, and Kevin, you know, and you and I have been doing this show together for a long time. And I always say I'm in the University of Kevin. As I sit here, I'm a student. I've learned so much. I'm ready. You know.
Well, one of the great things about even the young lawyers, the more that you talk about a problem, I can discuss it with you. Well, guess what? My mind is going through all the options even as I talk to you. So if I hold it in, then I'm not able to give the best of it. Can I give you an evaluation? Yes. But what we really need is the best of Kevin Kennedy. So the best is discuss it. I have a lot of clients sometimes, and we'll go for these jury trials, and I'll go, and they're impatient. They say, Mr. Kennedy, really, we've already gone on. I said, we will go over it, and we will go over it, and you know what, Chuck? Many times, brand new ideas. Hello, come in. There it is. And you say, well, why didn't I think of that at the first sitting? Because that's just not the way your mind works. Iron sharpens iron as one man sharpens another. So that's biblical, that's the truth, so we should employ that in our lives.
Absolutely. And you know, and there's so many times where, you know, you depend on the experts, and you guys with the Kennedy Law Firm, being in business over 35 years, the thing that's amazing is you have such a broad scope of knowledge. Yes. You have experts in every area, and that's what we get calls in from every area, A to Z.
It is so true. When I look back, I used to say, wow, those lawyers are really smart when I went to the law school. And then after I got one, I said, well, those lawyers are really not that smart, because I was one. And now, looking back over your career, those lawyers are really smart. They are valued. And if you don't utilize it, then it's your misfortune and your family's misfortune, because just a little diversion can protect you so much. And I can't say it enough. Conversations, and talk with somebody that you can trust, because they can hear it, and then these options are falling into place. And guess what? We have a lot of options we consider. They won't work, but at least I considered it, and I know what won't work.
Exactly. We are going to go to the lines right now. So again, if you are watching this evening, make sure you get online with those questions, those comments as soon as possible, so that we can get to as many as possible. Caller, who are we talking to this evening? Welcome to Open Line.
Hello?
Hello.
Yes, go ahead, caller.
Yes, sir. My name is Mr. Kimball, and I have a case with Power Pharma in the opioid settlement case. And I was wondering if I need an attorney. They said that they were setting up a trust, and we would be informed probably in December as to where we stand, all the litigants?
Yes. Well, here's the deal. As a general rule, that's a class action. So a class action is where a group is identified as potential victims. So usually there is a lawyer or a group of lawyers who have spearheaded this action, and you become an identified person in that class. So as a general rule, you let that lawyer pursue it, and it's determined on the amount of insurance that the industry is going to provide to try to settle these claims. So at this juncture, I would say I'd try to have a good understanding with the group that is representing you, and if they're shooting straight with you, then you'll feel that. If you don't think you're getting the right answers, or they're not communicating with you to your satisfaction, then yes, I would entertain a private lawyer. But thank you for that. We all get notices all the time. Well, there's a potential lawsuit, so that's something to consider.
Absolutely. If you are just tuning in, you are watching OpenLine. We are asking the experts this evening in the legal field, and we're talking with our expert right here, Kevin Kennedy from the Kennedy Law Firm. Kevin, the other thing that I think, and I just always like to mention that number right there on your screen, all you do, just call and get in line, and we'll make sure we get to as many calls as possible.
Yes.
But Kevin, one of the things that I think I've also learned over the years of doing this with you is people often say, do I need a lawyer? Do I not need a lawyer? To me, the answer is you always need a lawyer when you have these legal questions, because it's so complicated, so complex.
Yeah, well, let me tell you, Chuck, since we've been doing this show, it has become more and more demanding that you must get a lawyer. Why? Because everybody is suing. And you say, well, I don't have any liability. Hold on. You didn't even realize that you do have liability. And so on everything we do, and when people say, well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to get on there and I'm going to tell you, take on liability, my friend. So you should talk to somebody before you run your mouth. They say 90% of the people are in the penitentiary because they talk. So loose lips sink ships. We say that all the time. So you should think and you should investigate what my legal status is before I start putting all these things out here. And people all the time say, well, Kevin, I'm going to go to the media. Well, guess what? That is a recorded statement. They take it. Will they use it against you? Absolutely. Will the lawyer subpoena that? Absolutely. Will they dissect everything you say? That is absolutely. And now, of course, a more sophisticated arena that we live in, they have experts say, well, they were lying. You could see the twitch. You didn't notice their eyes were dilated. You didn't notice the inflection. This is what they've got experts to try to interpret what you're sharing. Well, the only way you're going to counter that is you have experts. And guess what? Experts cost money. So don't get yourself in a jam. You need to talk to somebody, and when they say avoid it, avoid it. He who seeks justice, sometimes they get it. Really, we don't want justice, we want mercy. And so it's very convoluted, and sometimes it can be expensive, so we want to avoid those fights.
Absolutely. All right, well, here we go back to our lines right now. Jill is on the line with us. Good evening, Jill. Do you have a question or a comment for Kevin?
Yes, good evening. I do. In 2014, we purchased some property here in Lewis County, Mount Pleasant, and it was surveyed, and the description was registered. We registered it let me see, it was 2014, it was May 2014, we registered the property, and then there was an easement on the property, and we changed that in May of 2021, and we had them resurvey the property, and we registered it, and when we registered it, 2 weeks after we registered it, the county contacted the surveyor and said that the boundary line was wrong, that we did not own 3 acres on the west boundary. And so the surveyor contacted us and said that he made a mistake and he redid the survey, but we do not have a new description. We contacted our title company, and the title company asked for the description. We don't have a new description. We haven't registered anything different than what we originally registered. And I'm not sure if we rely on the title company to resolve this or if there's something we need to do.
Okay, good question. First off, I would go back to the title company. You bought it in good faith, you had it surveyed, this is the legal description, and it was registered. There's never been a problem till you've had the easement looked at, and now all of a sudden they're saying, hey, there is a problem. You need to get a lawyer. Everyone's land has already been mapped out from the county. They have their own assessments. So there's an assessment where the lines are with the county. Then you have a legal description, which is from this pin to this pin, northeast, 25 degrees. And there's a legal description that the sophisticated lawyers can read. And if he made a mistake, you can do a correction deed. But if I would be standing on the original, I always tell everybody, when you buy a piece of property, have it surveyed, because we look, here's our fence, here's our fence. That means nothing. What the legal description is what controls. So when that deed is recorded, that's what controls. So you can say, well, there's the fence right there. Believe me, I've done this before, so I know. So I'm teaching you from my mistakes. I've been in the real estate business 41 years. Wow, lot. And I bought a lot of houses. It's a minimum risk when you buy a subdivision house, but when you buy a farmhouse, it's a major risk. So I would say immediately get a lawyer, go back on that title company, because if they made a mistake, they're responsible.
All makes sense. All right, we've got a lot of you on the lines with us right now. We're glad that you are calling in on Open Line. We're going to take a short break, and then we'll get to more calls right after this. You're watching Open Line.